Hi, I'm Avery or Hazel or Kylie,
Hello, I am Lily.
and why are you talking like a cat?
Meow.
Today we are covering Kiki's delivery service at the request of RomaBPM, who is a streamer, and if I remember to, I will link their Twitch in the description on YouTube. But
Hey,
yeah,
Avery, do you still link my Twitch?
yes.
Okay, just wondering. Yeah, maybe
I,
I'll actually start streaming again. Who knows?
Oh, that'd be fun. But yeah, so before we, dive into Kiki's delivery service, I'm going to spin the wheel to determine our next movie, which, depending on when this releases, will either come out tomorrow or next week because this podcast is becoming bi-weekly. Fun.
Yay! You probably already knew that, or you didn't. I don't know or care.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank God it landed on this while I still have Netflix.
Oh, wait, what?
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought it was. Why did I add that again? I forgot.
I have no idea why you added it. But yeah, we'll
I was
be
probably
covering.
just short on, movie as, that's the first movie I thought of.
Yeah, so we're going to be covering that. Uh,
Yeah, okay.
Fun.
Who was it made by? I forgot.
I believe it was Sony.
Huh. Okay, before we get into, G's delivery service, I need...
I'm curious, what year was Kiki's delivery service? I do want to just, fact check that.
Okay, yes, Cloud Chance of Meatballs, made by Sony.
Yeah. So I'm gonna
Is that?
go back to where I screenshotted the critic review scores because that has the year. 1989. Was that the same year as My Neighbor Totoro?
You're making me look up this now.
Yeah, I definitely would rather you look that up.
1988 is when My Neighbor Totoro came out.
Okay, so this was 1 year after. Okay, obviously, before we, really get into discussing everything about it, this podcast will contain spoilers for Kiki's delivery service. You will find, if you are listening to this on YouTube, you will find a link below to rent or purchase the movie. You can also watch it on HBO Max if you live in the US. From what I've heard, it's on Netflix in Canada.
Huh. Weird.
So, yeah. But yeah, all right. So, digging into this. Spoilers from here on out. All right, Lily, you watched this on HBO Max, and I have the limited edition steelbook from a couple of years ago. So I was watching the DVD copy from that.
Yes.
The song near the beginning and the song at the end credits, were those in English or in Japanese for you?
I actually want to relook at it. Off the top of my head, I want to say English.
See, that's interesting because mine were in Japanese.
Interesting. I do not remember, actually. So I'm gonna go... just... Okay. And that'd be interesting that yours would be in Japanese. And I guess they're from a few years ago, but still interesting.
Yeah. Another thing, okay. So this movie, brilliant animation as usual.
I expect nothing less.
I do have one nitpick though, and it's a minor nitpick. the propeller bike that Tombo has, whenever those blades are rotating, they always look like they're rotating clockwise, no matter what angle they're animated from. And that's not how things. That seems wrong. Of course, my brain could just be fucking shit up, but.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's wrong. Okay, I looked at my finger just to figure out if I was right about this. If you're looking at something from one direction and it's rotating clockwise, for someone on the opposite side of it, to them it should look like it's rotating counterclockwise.
Yeah.
And that's not what happens here.
Hey, so when is that song that you're talking about?
There's a song that plays when Kiki, flies off from her home.
Okay, so we're that far in.
Yeah, and then there's another song that plays very near the end credits, but before the words "the end." Those songs were in Japanese for me. So,
Oh, wait. I am so glad I looked. That's Japanese.
okay. See, it's weird because the My Neighbor Totoro songs on HBO Max, those were in English. And there are Japanese versions of those songs, most definitely, because for one,
obviously.
Yeah, because for one, like, they're made in Japan, but for another thing, I've heard them. But yeah, so that's really my only major nitpick with this movie. The other thing I will say is, like, there are times when I find Kiki a little bit annoying, just a little bit, and it's only a couple of times in the movie.
I have to say, I love that cat.
Gigi.
Gigi's like my favorite character.
I think Kiki is an interesting character to analyze because this film can almost work as a cautionary tale for, like, letting your skills define your self-worth. Because, like, okay, so the whole thing here is, like, she flies, like, her flying and her witch powers in general are based off of, like, her spirit. But then, like, she voices that she's not really enjoying flying anymore, and then suddenly she loses her witch powers. And this, causes turmoil with her. And largely that's because, like, she was basing on her self-worth on, the fact that she was a witch, the fact that she was, able to fly and provide this service to people.
There's also the fact that she's able to provide this service to people. She's just doing what everyone else wanted and not what she wanted, and she never actually knew what she actually wanted and why she had these powers if she didn't even know where she was going with them.
Well, I mean, it does feel to me like she wanted to do the delivery service, but wasn't quite prepared for, how that would look.
Well, I mean, it's also like, because you see at the beginning, she didn't actually know, like what field of magic she wanted to go into. She doesn't know, any specifics of her own goals. just gonna get out in the world and see what happens. I guess the delivery service took up that time to think about what she really wanted.
Yeah, and to be fair, the delivery service idea, if you're someone who can fly on a broomstick, that's a pretty genius idea, and probably even better in the modern era where we have like Google Street View, so that like if you get an address, you can actually go on Google Maps and look at the what the roof of that house looks like.
Well, I was also thinking, like, this could also be its own sort of Uber delivery service.
Oh, you like Uber Eats?
Yeah.
Not like classic Uber. I can't imagine.
Oh no.
Yeah, definitely not. That would be.
I was thinking more like, Uber Eats, Grubhub, that stuff.
DoorDash.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be that would be really cool. I have a feeling that those services are going to be replaced with drones anyway eventually. So
I wonder if I can get a drone to deliver me something like something like far away. Like, yes, I would like my lunch to be, I don't know, an Idaho street vendor.
So something interesting is like the baker's husband has like barely any lines in this movie. I want to say he may even only have one line.
He's so expressive.
Yeah, it's like, that's pretty great. There's a lot of characters who are kind of dickish. I think that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Painter Lady's really cool. And the two old ladies were probably one of the best aspects of this movie.
Oh, definitely.
And like they have
their conversations back and forth were great.
Yes, and like that moment where one of them actually, puts the broom between her legs and pretends like she's flying.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Yes.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
That actually got me to laugh out loud. And like, so before today, I had seen this movie once. I watched it with my sister like 4 or 5 years ago. Nope, that's wrong. 5 or 6. 5 or 6 years ago. So it's been a while.
A while ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Wait.
But yeah, I definitely do.
How old were you in that time?
I would have been either 20 or 19.
Yeah, I knew it. Even 5 years ago, you're still older than me now.
Yeah, because you're like 5.
No. Bitch.
But yeah, I definitely think this movie is better than My Neighbor Totoro.
I can see it, yeah. Though there's a special place for My Neighbor Totoro. Like this movie as well,
Yeah, see, one of the things is like, if I haven't seen this movie in a while, I can still remember a lot of the things that happen in it. Even though it doesn't have a traditional plot, it has more of a plot than My Neighbor Totoro did.
My Neighbor Totoro, yeah. My Neighbor Totoro didn't really have a plot. That movie was an experience.
Yeah, the only plot you could really argue with My Neighbor Totoro was when May went missing.
Though I feel like that movie really defined, Studio Ghibli going forward. Became their brand logo and everything.
Yeah, pretty much. Even though I think this movie is better. I mean, it's always like that. You tend to have studios where like their logo is something that like it is something that references a movie that you don't think is their best work. Like with Blue Sky, for instance, I strongly believe that. Why do I want to say his name is Blue? The main character from Rio. I strongly believe that that bird should have been the logo for Blue Sky, but instead it's the fucking Ice Age squirrel.
I guess in more cases for logos, it's not really about what their best work is, but what made them, like, what put them on the map.
Well, see, like, Luxo Jr. for Pixar works perfectly. And even though it's not from a movie, it's from a short. It just works.
Well, I mean, it also works that Luxo Jr.'s, wait, is that the ball or the lamp?
Luxo Jr. is the lamp.
Okay.
The ball is
You
just
have
called the Luxo ball.
I mean, the Luxo ball is in, like, every movie. Almost.
I don't think it's in every movie. I know the Pizza Planet truck is.
Yeah. I feel like there's a point to put in every movie, but I don't think it actually has made its way in every movie.
Like A113.
Yeah, basically.
That the fact that A113 is missing from Monsters Inc. will bug me for the rest of my life. But yeah.
But hey, Wally made up for it because of how much they used it.
Because A113 was part of the plot in that movie. But yeah, it's okay, so regarding this movie, I think, the hand-drawn animation is really beautiful. And I want something I really want to compliment is the painting that we see. Like, not only is it a beautiful painting, but it's really, really difficult to properly animate a painting at different angles in hand-drawn animation. Because with computer animation, there are techniques you can do to like turn it and still have it look accurate to how it would look if you were looking at it at that specific angle. But with hand-drawn animation, you have to completely redo the painting from a different angle. And they did that amazingly here.
Yeah, I mean, you think about doing, making an amazing painting. Imagine having to do that painting again and again and again.
Yeah, it's like I couldn't believe it when I was seeing it. And like, this is like, obviously like filmmaker brain, even though I'm not a filmmaker. But like, this is something I wouldn't have normally thought of in, initial viewings of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was actively looking at animation stuff when watching this movie. The flying is also animated beautifully, but I will say I do not have the confidence to go flying above people wearing a dress or a skirt. Not gonna happen. I mean, yeah, sure, she was wearing like what could be considered a full outfit underneath the dress, but still, I wouldn't be comfortable with it.
This is 1988.
89.
Well, 89. Right, I was looking at Totoro. How long do you think it takes them to do like this movie? It must take like forever.
I mean, hand-drawn in a movie, I don't know. Because, see, I don't want to say that hand-drawn animated movies take longer than CG animated ones. Because while that may be true in some cases, it's probably definitely not true in others.
Well, that's true, but you can also put like how much detail, Studio Ghibli does in their artwork. It would make sense for them to, at the very least, have a longer time making it than most just regular, not Studio Ghibli movies.
I mean, I think it depends. If we're comparing it to, like, say, Illumination or Sony Pictures Entertainment, I would say making a Studio Ghibli film probably takes longer. Um,
Then again, I mean, if we're talking about the Toy Story, um, like the
I,
first Toy Story movie, obviously that was more than just animation. That was literally programming the tools needed.
yeah, like a lot of the things in Toy Story, they literally had to program the tools that they needed in order to animate certain things because they just didn't exist. And there is so much so many different things that a lot of people use every day that were invented by people at Pixar or people who worked at Pixar.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's insane. And like, see,
Um,
this is why Pixar is one of the reasons why I was saying that, I don't know if it's fair to say that hand-drawn animated movies take longer than CG ones,
mhm.
because Pixar puts a lot of extra effort into their movies. It might as well be the tagline for the studio, putting in the extra effort.
I mean, there's a reason why I was actually hearing people talk about Studio Ghibli and calling it the Disney of Japan.
I mean, it really is, except I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it being a soulless megacorporation.
I mean, I think that was actually before a lot of their they really started showing their true colors of mega corporation ish.
But yeah, like Studio Ghibli, I don't know. Like there's some of they've influenced a lot of stuff. Like I've said before,
Oh
like
god, yeah.
My Neighbor Totoro heavily influenced some of the animation of Appa in Avatar: The Last Airbender, and then you have Snorlax, who very likely is based off of Totoro. Um, so there's a lot. I'd be curious to know if there's anything in particular that is based off of this movie,
Hmm.
because I haven't heard of anything.
I mean, I can't exactly say I've heard of anything, but I definitely want to say that
I want to say
it
for sure you
exists.
haven't heard of anything, because when I told you we were doing this movie, you had somehow never even heard of it. And like
So
genuinely, I want
you
to know what
know
rock you're living under.
the one next by Patrick, but you remember when we listened to music, right? There would be a lot of things that I knew, I just never knew the name of. I've seen actually quite a few clips of this movie. I just knew it was a Studio Ghibli movie.
Oh. And you never knew the name of it.
Nope. No, because
That
when I didn't even think, like, when you said the name, I didn't even think it was a Studio Ghibli movie. I thought Kiki was, delivering, I don't know, tacos in like a van. Like, that was my imagination.
See, now I'm imagining the actual Kiki from the movie delivering tacos in a van. That's just too funny a picture to conjure up. I will say there are some kind of there are other things I want to nitpick too. There's some kind of stalker-ish tendencies in Tombo that I noticed.
Oh, yeah. That's, yikes.
Yeah, that was a bit
Yikes, my dude.
that was a bit concerning to me, and the fact that like she's urged to becoming friends with him, and then like eventually does, kind of irked me a little bit. But like at the same time, it's a movie, but young boys
Yeah.
out there in the real world, if any of you are listening to this,
Don't go stalking people.
yet even if you don't think it's stalking, maybe take a second to consider it from the other person's point of view, what it will look like to them.
I don't
And
care
like
if they
if
can
somebody
literally
tells
fly.
yeah,
Don't do it.
and if somebody tells you to leave them alone, fucking do it, and don't like follow them after they've rushed off away from you. That's like that's about as far as I want to take that matter. But yeah, I haven't seen a lot of Studio Ghibli movies. I want to say I have maybe seen Spirited Away a long time ago, but I don't remember shit about it. The movies that I remember seeing are My Neighbor Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service, and Howl's Moving Castle, and that one's my favorite one.
Yeah, I know for sure as of now, only seen 3 Studio Ghibli movies. And that would be obviously the 2 we did in the podcast, now in My Neighbor Totoro. And a bit of a weird one, but the movie that they did for Ni no Kuni.
They what?
Yeah.
I
There's a
might
movie on Netflix.
I might have to look into that later. But yeah, I believe I technically own Whisper of the Heart. So I just haven't watched it yet. And then like I can watch pretty much all the Ghibli movies on HBO Max. One that I really want us to cover is Princess Mononoke. I'd also really like to cover Ponyo and Spirited Away. And The Secret World of Arietti. So those, I think,
there's a lot of movies we can cover.
Those I think we will definitely cover. I'm moderately interested in covering Earwig and the Witch because I keep hearing that that is their worst movie. So that should be interesting. I also believe I own that one too. So, I'd have to check. But yeah, I think overall this is a good movie. It's not very plot heavy. This movie and My Neighbor Totoro are both kind of just feel good movies. You can kind of
did feel good.
Yeah, I mean you can kind of just put these on in the background, but then if you pay attention to them, you get some really beautiful animation. So like that's nice to see. Like it's beautiful hand-drawn animation, and we will eventually get to more like beautiful CG animation. I mean, we've already had some with like How to Train Your Dragon, but
that's still beautiful. Like Fucking love that movie.
I do want to like one of the movies that we should cover is The Good Dinosaur, because like as much as that movie is not one of Pixar's best, it has some amazing animation because during the development of the movie, the animators were left with basically nothing to do, so they just kept polishing up scenes. And it led to the movie being one of the best looking Pixar movies, in my opinion, even though the actual, like, content of the movie itself is not that good.
So, what movie are we doing next week? Or next one we're recording?
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
It escaped my mind for a second there.
Yeah, and like you asked me and that put me on the spot and I was like, wait, what movie did? and like, you know, it's one of those things where like obviously I'd know if I looked at the list because I would remember, but like I don't have the list in front of me right now. So but yeah, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs will possibly be next week.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself, it's like, what was the movie? I don't remember.
and you know, okay, I had previously said we're going to cover all the Ghibli movies, but I don't think that's going to be a thing that happens. Purely because we never put them on the wheel, pretty much. And like, okay, our most recent release at the time of us recording this was episode 40, which was Joker. My Neighbor Totoro was episode 7.
And I remember I put that on the wheel because I owned the DVD.
But yeah, I'm definitely going to put Howl's Moving Castle on the wheel at some point. Unless
also,
by some
because,
miracle,
you know,
by some miracle we land on the request slot again before I even get a chance to put a movie on the wheel, and that is the movie that someone requests.
The next one's probably me. I'm going to ask someone, and that's probably not going to be it.
If you have someone to ask.
I have a few.
But yeah, let's see. Let me look at the time. Okay, we're good to look to discuss the critic ratings now. If you have anything else you want to say.
No, not really. I mean, I don't know. I really have stuff to say, about these movies, but I mean, this really just boils down to good movie, feel good, love cat.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, I feel like I mostly said negative things, but I do overall like look at this movie positively. It's just there are a couple of like nitpicks and, you know, little bit of creepy stalker tendencies that I don't like, but like,
well, I mean, the better a movie is, the more it allows you to be a nitpick.
Yeah. So, looking at critic reviews, IMDb gives this movie a 7.8 out of 10.
There was a lot of ocean.
Rotten Tomatoes gives this a 98%. Common Sense Media gives it a 5 out of 5. And 94% of Google users liked this movie. So, Lily, what would you rate this movie?
Putting me first.
You typically go first. What the hell is that supposed to mean?
Well, sometimes I get you to go first. But yeah. 8.4. Love the movie. Great movie.
Okay. So, once again, I premeditated my score. and I am giving this movie an 8.5.
Oh my god.
It seems we're having a lot of really close ratings lately.
Yeah, seems like it.
I find that kind of interesting, but yeah, overall, I think this is a pretty good movie. It's definitely better than My Neighbor Totoro, in my opinion. I don't know if that holds true for Lily, because she rated this movie 8.4, and she rated My Neighbor Totoro at 9.0.
Yeah, she checked.
Yes, I checked.
Also, I don't even think that last sentence even registered in Audacity. Oh, find out that later.
That's concerning. I mean, it's
I
not
think it
that
was
big of a
just,
deal. It's not that big of a deal because it wasn't that important.
yeah.
but
Um,
but yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I
I
feel like My Neighbor Totoro is really good, but to this movie, it's complicated. I have complicated feelings.
Yeah, I
You
feel
know,
like, I want to stick with the rating that I gave My Neighbor Totoro at a 7.5. Um,
I would actually, maybe knock it down a few, especially how, we rated more movies, and I think I'm starting to get more of a grip on how I personally rate these movies.
yeah, I
Like,
almost
nothing.
think it would be interesting to do a retrospective of the entire podcast and like see how we rated things and where we'd move things around. But like the amount of work that it would take to set that up, we'd like have to go through and like listen to the ratings we gave every movie we've ever done, and also all the amended ratings because we've amended ratings before. Um,
Mhm.
I don't feel like it's practical. Like
If we ever do, we need to make a spreadsheet so we don't have to do it again.
especially since we're already planning to do an MCU Phase 1 retrospective, and then we're going to do another one for Phase 2 and Phase 3 and Phase 4 and so on. And like that's already going to be a part of it. It just doesn't feel necessary. But yeah, with this podcast becoming, I guess I should put this out there. With this podcast becoming more of a bi-weekly show, there are going to be some kind of bonus episodes that aren't covering a particular movie or show, but are more just talking about like, you know, movie related things in general. Like we will potentially be doing a video on what makes a good book to movie adaptation. And then, like I said earlier, we're going to be doing one where it's like what a retrospective of Marvel Phase 1. And then, like, I don't know, maybe a trivia game. That might be fun.
Yeah, me and Avery need to talk about this more because this is news to me.
No, it's not. We talked about this
Well,
yesterday.
not the retrospective, but like the stuff about not the retrospective.
Yeah, we also talked about that yesterday.
I don't remember that. I remember we talked about the how what we're gonna be doing for bi-weekly.
You probably just forgot, and then like because majority of that conversation was how TV shows are going to be handled, which
Yeah.
on y'all's end y'all are going to find out relatively soon. I do have some adjustments to make regarding what we talked about because in regards to TV shows, because let's just say the TV show we were planning on doing, I didn't factor in the fact that July doesn't work. But anyway, um, I God, that's really all we have for now. There isn't too much more to say about Kiki's delivery service, and we're getting wildly off topic. So until next time, I've been Avery, that's been Lily, and look forward to Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs coming soon.